Hey y'all, it's your girl Symone and welcome back to my channel. If y'all can see by the title, today is another story time. It's the story time y'all been wanting, y'all. I stopped what I was doing because I was like, it's getting late and I didn't make this video. Y'all, I was doing a whole hair video. I was doing my hair. I ain't even finished. That's why I got this scarf on. But anyway, before we get into this video, y'all already know what to do. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And if you have, thank you, because we at 70K. And yeah, give your girl a thumbs up and comment down below because y'all know that helps with my whatever, and that helps YouTube push my videos out. And I just love seeing y'all comments because y'all be making my day. So let's get straight into this video. So this video is about to be 4 mini story times inside of this one video, y'all. So I don't even know how long this gonna be, but make sure y'all watch it all the way through. And then also, since it's 4 mini story times, I'm not gonna get in details of the stories, but I'm eventually give y'all those stories. So if y'all want them stories, let me know down in the comment section below. So let's get into it. So how I found out that my man and my she was my best friend. So how I found out my man and my friend was doing the nasty behind my back. Y'all, this is a crazy one because I should have caught on, but here we go. So when the first mini story time in the story is where I'm just going to give different details of times where it started to make sense to me when I figured everything out. So when we first met, mind y'all, it was like an event where everybody was at the mall and stuff like that. And I was there with Toxic and like a few other people, right? So when we was there or whatever, that's when Joe approached me. Well, Joe approached like all of us. It was him and his friends, and they approached us because she knew Joe and she knew his friend. Remember Steve Harvey, his friend? So if y'all don't know, then y'all need to go catch up on some story times. So when we seen them, because remember I told y'all Toxic used to date Steve Harvey or whatever. So when we seen them, they was talking or whatever. And mind y'all, Joe had came over there to me and was just like, oh, what's your name? You got an aim, da-da-da-da-da. Was asking me all those questions and shit. And Toxic was big all, oh yeah, y'all should talk, that would be so cute. Ooh. And she used to call him her play dad, right? Because she used to be like, oh, he called his homeboy his son, and that's my boyfriend, so she used to call him her play dad or some shit. But mind y'all, I didn't never know Joe. I didn't know nothing about this man. So she pumped it up like, oh, y'all should talk. So mind y'all, I'm the type of person, and she knew this too, I was the type of person where I'll probably get somebody my aim and it'll probably go nowhere. Like, it would go nowhere because I don't know, I'll be like real shy and shit, like, or I just really wasn't like, I don't know. So he was like, okay, so I gave him my aim. So mind y'all, that day that we met, we hung out throughout the whole day. Like, we was there. We was at the mall. I forgot which mall we was at, but we was there the whole day together, whatever, right? So when it was time for us to like leave or whatever, Joe and his friends, Steve Harvey and all the rest of them, they was with us or whatever, right? So the whole time when we was all hanging out, it was cool because it was like everybody was just laughing, joking, talking, right? But when it was time for us to leave, mind y'all, her and Steve Harvey used to date. At this time, I don't think they was dating though. I don't think they was together. But they still was like flirting and shit. So when it was time for us to leave, Joe is like talking to me and we just talking, really getting to know each other and shit like that, laughing, talking shit, like, and he was all calling me his girlfriend, saying I'm gonna be his girlfriend. He wanted to hold my hand and shit. When I tell y'all, Toxic did not like that shit. She did not like that shit. Like, when we was holding hands, she came in between us and was holding both our hands, like, in the middle, like, oh, no, let's all hold hands. Like, she was being weird like that. But mind y'all, this was my first time meeting Joe. So I'm like, you know, I really don't know this boy like that, you know, but it did give off weird vibes what she was doing. So it was just giving off weird vibes to where he would just be like, I'm good, like, you know, or whatever, like, can you go, I want to talk to your friend, like, I want to talk to Symone, I want to get to know her. So she had that whole night, I promise y'all. At first she was cool when it wasn't him trying to be all booed up with me, but when he wanted to be all booed up with me, she had an attitude. Like, she kept getting mad to where I'm like, oh, let me go check on my friend, let me see what's wrong with her. Like, she kept getting mad, she kept having an attitude, like, she was just so pissed off. And I didn't pay it no mind, right? No mind. And I'm not gonna get too into details about this because, again, these mini stories. So later on, like a few days later, like a week or two later, I don't know, Toxic was at my house. I think her people, what happened? Oh yeah, her people was out of town, so they was like, can she stay at my house until they got back? So she was staying at my house or whatever. And I don't know what happened. I think her phone died or something like that. So she was like, oh, can I get on AIM from your computer? So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, go on AIM or whatever. So we chilling. I'm on AIM on my phone, and she asked me like, oh, have you been talking to Joe? And I'm just like, yeah, me and him been talking. Like, you know, he said he want to link up, because after that we never linked up again. Like, we'll AIM here and there or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, he said want to link, and she just was asking me all type of questions like, you like him? Like, I know I was telling you to talk to him, but I really wouldn't talk to him because he really ain't shit. Like, he's a dog. He be talking to all the girls, like all this, that, and that, and the third, right? So I'm just like, oh, okay, like, well, why did you didn't say this before? Like, at first you was pumping it up until you see like I'm smiling when I'm bringing the nigga up, then all of a sudden you want to say he ain't shit. So I really wasn't paying no mind. I'm just like, whatever, if he ain't shit, I guess I'm gonna have to find out. Red flags look like 6 flags to me anyway. So I'm like, whatever, boom. So she's on the computer, because again, I don't want to get too into details, y'all know I be talking too much. So she's on the computer, she on AIM, right? So when she's on whatever, I think that's back in psychic days, so I'm not sure. I don't know if I could use the internet, or maybe I just wanted to use it from the computer. So I'm like, hey, I'm about to check my Facebook real quick. So she like, okay, but mind y'all, no, okay, no. So I'm like, I'm finna check my Facebook real quick. So she like, okay, I'm like, let me get a computer. So whenever I used to use AIM on my computer, I would do it to where it would just blink at the bottom. If I got a new message, it wouldn't just pop up on the screen. So of course she don't know how to work my computer or whatever the case may be. So she's having it to where her messages popping up, like they wasn't blinking at the bottom, right? So, and I mean, it was just me and her right there in the room anyway, so it wasn't really no big deal. But I'm like, oh, I want to check my Facebook real quick. So she like, okay, so she exited out of everything. But mind y'all, again, she have it to where even if she exit out, she didn't sign out, so the shit is still just gonna pop up. So when I went right there by the computer, I'm checking my Facebook, and I think she went in the kitchen to go make her something to eat or something. I don't fucking know what she went to go do, but she left out. Y'all, the message popped up, the AIM popped up, and that shit popped up, the whole message right there on the screen. And mind you, it's a computer, so you could see the message. I didn't even gotta scroll. And it was an AIM from Joe. Like, she was aiming Joe the whole time. She was sitting there talking shit about him to me, telling me not to talk to him. She was aiming him the whole time, mind y'all. So this is the conversation with Sam. It was pretty much like, wow, that's fucked up. Like, first it was like daddy, because remember I told you she used to call him her play dad. So first it was like daddy, like she hit him up. Then it was basically saying that's fucked up, like, you know how I feel about you, why would you do that? I thought we was gonna try to work on us, da 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 da, how you gonna talk to my homegirl, all this other shit, right? So when I seen that, my heart is beating fast. I'm just like, even though this is not my man, nothing like that yet, but I'm just still like, hold the fuck up. Like, bitch, you talk to this nigga? Why are you telling me to talk to him? If you talk to him, this wasn't making no sense to me. So I'm like, what the fuck? So when she came back in there, I'm like, toxic. She like, yeah, what's up? So I'm like, somebody aimed you. She was like, for real? Like, somebody aimed me? Who aimed me? Like, she was just getting, she was like, I thought I signed out. So I said no. And I was like, Joe aimed you. So I'm like, can I ask you a question? Like, what's up? Like, what's, like, y'all talk or something? Like, what's up with that? And she was like, no, we don't talk. Like, oh my God. Like, she was just really stumbling, trying to figure out what she was gonna say. Then finally, so mind y'all, it was this other girl we used to hang out with from time to time. But we met the girl, well, she met her through me. But the girl was somebody that my grandma went to church with her grandma. And when she would come by the house, that she would come with her. And mind you, so we just ended up we got close and we was friends or whatever. So this girl that we was close with, she really don't need no name because she just quick in the story. So when I do my longer story time, she'll probably get a name, but as for now, she don't need one. But anyway, so we used to be close as fuck. She would always come over her grandma. Like, every time her grandma come over, like, it seemed like her grandma would come over after church on Sundays and then, like, sometimes during the week. But she would always come with her. And we would be cool. Like, we hung out, like, a lot. Like, we was cool. We was close. So one day, I don't know what happened. Like, she just stopped fucking with us. Like, she stopped coming by. So one day, I'm hitting her up like, hey, girl, like, is you gonna come with your grandma? Like, I ain't seen you in a minute. Like, and she would just be like, nah, I'm good. Like, you know, she was just so dry. Like, she just stopped fucking with us. And I didn't understand why. Like, we didn't get into it, nothing. She just stopped fucking with us. So I'm sitting there And Toxic was like, that's not him, I promise you, I'm aiming Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is aiming me from his phone because his phone is dead and he didn't want to sign out, I guess because he's talking to you or whatever. But I promise you that's Steve Harvey, that's not Joe, that's Steve Harvey on Joe's aim. So I'm like, this don't make sense. Like, why would you say, like, you talking to my homegirl, or you trying to get with my homegirl, why would you say some shit like that, you know? So she was like, oh, I'm talking about, and she said the other girl, she's like, I'm talking about her. She was like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you. She's like, but I found out she was messing with him and we got into like a little argument, and she was like, and I just didn't want to say nothing. She was like, but that's probably the reason why she don't come by. I guess that's why she cut us off. So at this time I'm thinking like, okay, this kind of could make sense, because even to this day I don't know why the girl stopped fucking with us. I do not know to this day, but when I found out everything I realized that was bullshit. She was lying. But to this day I don't know why that girl don't fuck with us, and I don't know what happened to her. But oh well. So yeah, so I'm sitting there like, okay, this kind of could sound real, but at the same time I'm feeling some type of way, because I'm like, what the fuck? So she ended up aiming the person back, and she was all like, Steve Harvey, like she said Steve, like she said his name, and she was all like, tell Symone that this is you and not Joe, because she really think that I'm on some fake shit right now. So they they replied back and was like, LOL, yeah, this is Steve. So then next thing you know, so I'm like, like, you know, it seemed fishy or whatever, but whatever. So next thing you know, Joe ended up hitting me up on AIM and was just like, oh yeah, that's Steve, that nigga got my phone. He was like, and I wasn't finna sign out of AIM to let him sign in to talk to her. Like, you know, I just told him he could aim her from my phone. He was like, because, you know, we are together right now. So then he like, y'all want to link? Like, you know, so when he said that, I'm just like, okay, I'm believing it now. Like, okay, maybe she not lying, but why did you? I don't like that whole daddy shit. Like, I don't like that daddy daughter shit. That shit is weird to me. But I don't know, because I was just so, it didn't make sense. Now that when I think back on it, is because it's like, she the one who aimed him first, and she said daddy. So what did he say? Unless he told her on his aim, like, hey, I'm gonna aim you from, I was gonna say his name, from Joe's phone. I don't fucking know. Either way go, they was lying. Either way go, they was lying, and it all made sense later, and y'all see. So that was like the situation, whatever. So he was like, do y'all want to link or whatever? So we end up linking with them, and when we linked with them, we end up going to the beach or whatever. So I had my grandma drop us off. When we was at the beach, y'all, let me tell y'all, the whole time at the beach, she like, yeah, I want to see Steve. Like, she making it seem like, you know, they trying to get back together or whatever. Whole time at the beach, she giving this nigga the cold shoulder, and I'm just over there like, yeah, don't, you got my homegirl fucked up, like, da 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 da, you got her fucked up, like, you know, I'm just doing it. And Steve is just looking at me so confused, like, he just like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, you know, he's confused as hell. And that's when I realized, you know, they was lying and that wasn't him. I didn't realize it then, but I realized it later in life, because he was confused as fuck, because clearly that was not him aiming her, that was Joe. So the whole time when me and him at the beach, like, he wanted to take pictures and shit like that. She would not take no pictures. She was just being so fucking weird, had an attitude. Like, it was really a pointless beach day. It was a lot that happened to at the beach, but that was part of that mini story time. So that's strike one. That was strike one of when I should have paid attention to that shit and just not talk to him. You know, I really shouldn't have, like, but they really came together good. So now strike one. So strike two, let's go later down in life in line, right? So later down in life, now me and him is together. Boom, we together. This was probably like some months in, because we really dealt with each other for a long time, like a long time. So this was later down the line, right? So her cousin, so Toxic had a cousin or whatever. Her cousin don't need no name, she really don't matter. But mind y'all, pay attention to this. Her cousin one day was like, oh, that her parents left for the weekend, and if we wanted to come over with our boyfriends and all have a slumber party, we could do that, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So mind y'all, Joe knew Toxic's cousin. He knew her. They didn't know each other too much like that, but they knew of each other. Like, they crossed paths with each other before, right? For some reason, Toxic's cousin never talked to Joe, ever. She never talked to Joe. And mind y'all, she'll get a name when I do the longer story time. She never talked to Joe, ever. Never talked to Joe. And pay attention to that, y'all. So anyway, so we went to her house. Toxic came with her boo or whatever. I came with Joe, and she didn't come with Steve Harvey, y'all. She didn't come with Steve. So she came with her boo. Mind y'all, he was like older. He had a car and shit. Don't know why he wanted to be around us minors. He was really the oldest one in the room. We was young. So I had to be like 15, 16, one of those shit, I don't know. But yeah, so we over there at her cousin's house. We ordered a pizza. We having movie night, whatever, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna get into details because this ain't that story. So we over there, whatever, right? So the whole night they was like her cousin and her boyfriend was sleeping in her room, And mind y'all, when they went in her room, they never even came back out. So they was sleeping in her room. Toxic was supposed to sleep in the little brother's room with her boyfriend, and then me and Joe was gonna sleep on the couch, because she was like, we could sleep in her mama room, and I'm just like, I'm not disrespecting your parents like that. I'm not gonna. But mind y'all, at this time y'all, I was a virgin. Like, me and Joe had never did nothing. Toxic knew, well, we kissed and shit like that, but that's about it. But Toxic knew this. She knew this, right? But so when we there or whatever, she come out the room, like, you know, we just regular, like, spending the night, whatever. So they went in there, we just chilling, like, we chilling, talking. So she come out the room and she was like, are y'all gonna fuck? Like, y'all fucking? So I was just kind of mad, because I'm just thinking, like, bro, I already had talked to him about it and just told him, like, you know, I wasn't ready and shit like that. And he knew that, and he was okay with that. And she the one want to say, like, doing the most. And mind y'all, her boyfriend, the one she had there, he brought alcohol and shit like that. I don't know why he wanted to get drunk with minors. Mind y'all, I didn't drink. She the only one that had drunk, her and her cousin, but they was in her cousin, you know, her and her mans went in the room. So she drinking and stuff. She come out the room, she's like, oh, and I'm like, girl, bye, like, go in there with your boyfriend, like, you know, enjoy your time with your man. So she like, oh, okay, all right. So she would go in the room, y'all, and she would come back out. Like, she kept coming back out and be like, I sucked his dick, you want to see how I sucked it? Like, sitting in front of us, because, like, the couch was right here. We was on the couch just chilling, like, cuddled up, watching TV or whatever. I forgot what the fuck was watching. So it was a table right here. So she kept coming back to the table, and she was like, I sucked his dick, and I sucked it like this. Mind you, I never did none of this to this man. So I'm just really, like, irritated, because I'm like, I don't want him to start feeling like, okay, yeah, drop them draws, bitch, because it's time. Like, you know, I was just like, bitch, like, you know, to where I had ended up pulling her to the side, like, girl, can you stop? Like, you stop. I don't want him to feel like, oh, you know, and get the wrong idea. And that's one thing too, to all my young subscribers out there. Do not let nobody peer pressure you or force you to do anything. If all your friends is doing the huckabuck, that don't mean you need to do it too. Do it when you're ready. Don't let no man, no friend, nobody pressure you to do anything. So I was just really irritated, because I'm like, now we spend the night together. Like, I don't want him to feel like, oh yeah, now let me really try it, you know, and it'll be like, then I end up doing something I wasn't ready to do at that time. So she just kept on. I'm just like, girl, can you stop? Like, you know, and she's like, oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry. She's like, you need to grow up. I'm just like, bitch, go fuck your grown nigga, like, leave me alone. So y'all, so it was like, let me tell y'all, just by the stuff that she kept coming out and doing, her man ended up getting mad. Like, they got into a big ass argument thing, and he ended up leaving. Like, he eventually left, but before he left, she came out and she was just like, oh, y'all want to watch us fuck? Like, oh, y'all want to switch? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Simone's a virgin. For one, even if I wasn't, bitch, why the fuck would I want to go in there and play switcheroo with you and that old man? Mind y'all, he wasn't old, but he was older than us, and I'm just like, this bitch is really finna get on my nerves. So at this point, like, I was getting into it with her too. It really was a big thing. Like, she really kept coming out of her panties. Like, she was doing the most, y'all. That was red flag number 2, because it was just way more to that night, but that was just red flag number 2. That's a situation I thought back on when I have found out the information I found out. So I was really thinking back to it, like, you know, because she really kept pressing about the whole switch, or, oh, you want me to show you? Like, Symone, maybe you don't know how to do it. Like, I could show you. This was after her nigga left. They got to it and left. She kept just saying weird shit like that. And I'm just like, bitch, you got me fucked up. Stop playing with me. Like, mind you, I said to her, and that's why we ended up getting into it. Because she was saying weird shit like, oh, like, I know you never did it before, Symone, but I could show you. Like, I could show an example. Like, Joe, you cool with that? You cool with that? And he would just, like, mind y'all, remember when I told y'all him and her used to get into it? So he used to just really be so fucking mean to her. And that's something I should have paid attention to too, because it's like, why are you so mean to this girl? When y'all was just all friends before, but when I come into the picture now, y'all hate each other low-key. So she was just doing the most, and he just like, man, get the fuck away from me, like, you're doing too much, like, da-da-da-da. And it was just really an annoying situation. Like, it really was so fucking annoying, like, annoying. So that was red flag number 2. So let's go on to later down the line. This is red flag number 3, and this one is really where it get real fucking juicy. So y'all, this is when I end up moving to Rialto or whatever, right? So when I used to move, when I end up moving to Rialto, right, I had a best friend. My best friend used to come out there a lot. So Toxic, she came out there like a few times, not really, but my best friend really used to come out there all the time or whatever. So one day, it was one weekend, she was like, am I coming to LA? So I'm like, no. I forgot why I couldn't come to LA or something like that. I don't know, but my mom told me like, oh, your friends could come out here. And that's how it would be like that. So mind y'all, remember the story time where I told y'all how I got caught cheating or whatever? this is about that boy. What the fuck did I name him? Okay, so I had named him Turtle in the story, but I had named somebody else that too in a story time before that had something to do with Joe. So okay, whatever. We could call him Musclehead or something. So this is when I was dating, but I went to Rialto and I was dating both of them, whatever. So at this time, mind y'all, I had never did nothing with Joe, and I didn't, of course, me and Musclehead, Turtle, whatever the fuck, me and him had never did nothing ever in life. So when I had moved out there, right, so my it was one weekend, my mom was like, oh, so mind y'all, it was one weekend when Toxic Cat came out there. We had linked up, because whenever she would come out there, like anytime or whatever, I always used to just link up with Musclehead. I would have his, like, sometimes my mom would let me go to his house, but let me be at no boy house all day every day, so I would sometimes sneak up over there, not even gonna lie. So one time when Toxic Cat came out here, we had snuck up over there, and it was like something going on. He always used to have people hanging out and kicking at his house, like his house was the spot. So one day she went over there and she met one of his friends, right? She met his homeboy. Her and his homeboy start talking, whatever. They was talking, boom. So let's fast forward to that weekend. So it was a weekend, and my mom was like, oh, I can't go, but my friends could go, and she go pick them up, right? So Friday after school, she went and picked up my best friend. I had Toxic up before and was like, hey, do you want to come to my house this weekend or whatever? And she was just like, no, I got a lot of stuff planned this weekend, like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to come, it's cool, like, we could link next weekend. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I was just asking, but my best friend coming out here, because my mom going to go pick up my best friend on Friday, so if you want us to come. But I'm like, yeah, it's cool or whatever. So she like, oh yeah, no, it's cool, like, I'm gonna just come next time, so you know, so y'all have fun or whatever, right? So I'm like, cool, whatever, right? So that day when my best friend was out there, that Friday night, we went to the movies or whatever. I forgot the movie theater called. I forgot what it was called, but it was right there. It was like in a parking lot. It was like a lot of stuff. It's in Rialto or whatever. So anyway, we ended up going to the movies or whatever. And mind y'all, that night, Toxic, she just kept aiming me like, oh, what y'all doing tonight? What y'all doing tonight? So I'm telling her like, we're going to the movies. And she was just like, oh, are y'all going to ever link with Musclehead? And I'm just like, probably. Like, you know, we probably go over there because, you know, his house be fun. It'd be the kicking spot, whatever, if ain't nothing else to do. She was like, oh, okay, well, make sure you don't introduce her, like telling me, make sure I don't introduce my best friend to his homeboy that she talked to. So I'm like, girl, you know, I don't even get down like that. You know, I'm like, girl, why would I do that? That's your nigga now, like, the fuck? She was just like, oh, okay. So she like, so where y'all at now? Like, she just kept asking location, like, on it. So where y'all at now? You plan on linking with them later? Are you gonna hit him up? So I'm like, I was gonna have him come to the movies, but he never replied. Mind y'all, I had hit him up and Musclehead and told him like, hey, me and my best friend going to the movies. If you want to come with a homeboy or something like that, y'all could come, like, you know. But he had never hit me back. Like, he never fucking replied. So I was just like, whatever, like, you know, I didn't pay it no mind. So that next day, because I'm just making these little short stories real quick. So that next day, we went to like we went to the Ontario Mills with my mom or whatever, me and my best friend. So Toxic hitting me up like, what you doing? She just was really blowing my phone up the whole weekend. For her to have so much to do, why are you aiming me so much? Like, you didn't come out here, like, why are you blowing up my line? Y'all, so it was probably like midday, probably like around like 5-6 o'clock or whatever. She hit me up and she was just like, where you at, Symone? It's an emergency, I need you right now. So I'm like, oh, I'm at the mall, what's going on? Like, you want me to call you from my mom's phone? Like, call my mom's cell phone. Because at that time, y'all, remember with the psychics, you couldn't call, so I didn't have a phone. And we didn't have no house phone at my house because we wasn't home like that to be having a house phone. So I always give people my mom number, like, call my mom phone. But eventually my mom bought me a phone because she was tired of that shit. So yeah. So I had my psychic and then like my other phone. So I'm like, call my mom phone, like, if you need me to talk, like, what's going on? She was like, no, like, where are you? Are you at home? So I'm like, no, we at the mall. She was just like, oh my god, I'm in Rialto right now. Some shit just popped off with these girls and I'm just so fucking mad. Like, I just need you to come right now. Like, I just need you. Like, can y'all come get me? So I'm like, hold up, how did you get to Rialto? Mind y'all, she live in LA, you know, very much so. So I'm like, how did you get to Rialto? I have so many questions, but I'm like, what girls, where are you, you know? So she's like, not saying. So I'm like, are you at, you know, Musclehead's homeboy house? Like, I'm like, you went over there? She was like, no, I'm on Baseline. Mind y'all, this nigga lived near Baseline. So I'm just like, why is she lying? Like, you know, why the fuck is she lying? So she was like, yeah, I need you right now, like, da-da-da-da. So I'm like, hold on. So I hit my cousin up because my job tells you my cousin lived around the corner. So I'm like, oh, Janique said you could go over their house and you could wait for me and we'll come get you. I'm like, because we're at the Ontario Mills. Like, my mom is in line buying some right now. Like, she's not finna just leave this fucking store to come get you. Like, what's going on? Like, is it bad? Like, is some girls like, what happened? I'm trying to figure it out. But I'm like, if you could make your way to over there. And then I even asked, I'm like, I could ask my cousin, like, if he could pick you up. But I'm like, if not, you could make your way over there. Because she was like, I could come to you, like, you know, I could come to your house. She was saying shit like that. So I'm like, make your way to my cousin's house and we'll pick you up on the way. So she just like, no, it's okay, like, it's all right, it's okay. So I was just like, what happened? She was just like, I'm gonna tell you everything when I'm able to call you or something like that. So I'm like, are you gonna go over there? She's like, I'll let you know, like, I'll let you know. It's just a lot of shit going on. So I'm like, what the fuck? So clearly I knew she was with him, but she telling me she wasn't. But who else would you be out here for? Like, you know, so I'm telling my best friend, and my best friend was like, hit up Musclehead, like, you know, because my best friend was with me at the mall. So she like, hit up Musclehead and see what happened. So I'm like, yeah, he probably might know something. So I hit up Musclehead and I was like, hey, mind y'all, we was talking through the day, whatever. He ended up hitting me back the next day, but he never said why he never hit me back the night before, right? Pay attention though. So I hit him up and I was just like, hey, what happened with Toxic? And he was just like, what do you mean? So I'm like, what happened with Toxic? Like, she just told me everything. No. So I'm like, what happened with Toxic? He's just like, what do you mean? And I'm like, what happened? Like, I need some information on what's going on, because shit just don't sound right. Like, shit's not making sense to me. So he was like, wait, what did she tell you? So I'm just like, what the fuck happened? She already told me everything, because mind y'all, she didn't tell me shit. But I just, at this point, it's weird. It's fucking weird. So I'm like, she already told me everything. And he was like, man, what the fuck? He was all like, hurt. He was like, man, what the fuck? He was just like, she just got into it with what's his name, she got to it with his homeboy or whatever. She was like, so I guess she mad, like, so she's just gonna leave. He was like, I didn't even know she was gonna be out here. So I'm like, hold up. So I asked him, I said, why they get into it? Like, he told you? And he was like, I was there. So at this point, I'm like, you was there? You was where? So I'm like, you was where? Like, you was where? So he was like, I was at his house. I was gonna say that nigga name because it's kind of confusing, but I ain't gonna say. So he was like, I was at his house. So I'm like, what the fuck? He was like, yeah, last night they was tripping, but then I guess this morning, like, they really got into it bad or whatever because this girl had popped up over here. So I'm like, hold up. I said last night. He was like, yeah. He was like, that's why I didn't hit you back last night. He's like, my bad, I forgot to tell you. He was like, I got high and passed out at this nigga house. And he was like, I'm still here, but I'm finna leave in a little bit. But your homegirl, she just left. Like, she left walking. So I'm like, so she was there last night? So he like, yeah, she was here last night. Like, you know, so I'm like, hold up. He was like, yeah, I thought you was gonna come over. Like, I thought since I had passed out, I thought I was gonna wake up and you was gonna be there or something. Bro, you're lying at this point. So come to find out, y'all, long story short, come to find out, she went out there to kick it with him. I don't know. I really don't know what happened. I never really got the details and asked. But come to find out, because, I mean, they both lied about it. Like, but my thing is, I guess she told him not to tell her, she told my boyfriend, Musclehead, not to tell me that she was out there. And y'all all had a big slumber party together. This sounds weird as fuck. So it's like, if y'all would never got into it, you would have never told me you was out here. So my best friend was just like, that sound weird as fuck. Like, why would your nigga lie? Like, why is he backing it up? Like, it sound fishy. It sound like they all was on some weird shit. Like, you know, so my best friend just putting it in my head. And I'm just like, oh, girl, get out my head. Because it really is sounding weird as fuck. So mind y'all, so I ended up hitting her back like, so what's up? Are you going to go to my cousin's house or not? So she like, no, I'm going to just go home. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Because mind y'all, it's an Amtrak train that goes, like, you know, to LA, whatever. So I'm just like, nothing about this is making no sense to me, right? So fast forward, because this ain't that story time for me to get into details. So fast forward, like, she was hitting me up. She never really told me about the situation or nothing like that. She never called me. Like, she kept saying she was gonna call me, and she never called me. Every time I called, like, well, I didn't try to even call her, but she would never call me. She would just aim me about, I'm gonna call you, oh, my bad, my mom tripping, I'm gonna call you tomorrow, I'm gonna call you this, and never told me really about the situation. So fast forward, it was probably like a few days later, right? It ain't the weekend no more. Like, I already done took my best friend back home. Like, it's back, I'm at school or whatever. So Joe ended up hitting me up, because my job was dating both of them. So Joe hits me up, and he was just like, guess who I ran into today? So I'm like, who did you run into? He was like, Toxic. So I'm like, oh, you ran into Toxic? And he was like, yeah. He was like, and dang, she didn't look too good. So I'm like, what do you mean she didn't look too good? So he was just telling me like she looked like she got beat up real bad. So I'm like, hold up, what the fuck? Like, so at this point I'm like, oh hell no. I'm like, cause so now I need to know what else happened, because y'all saying it was just an argument, like she still ain't called me. So I'm like, what the fuck? So he telling me, he was like, we talked for like an hour, like she was just telling me everything that happened. So at this point I was kind of feeling some type of way, because I'm just like, bitch, how you got time to tell my other boyfriend, my main boyfriend, I got time to tell my main man Joe what happened, but you still yet to call me and tell me what happened, and I didn't even know it was all this shit. So I'm like, what the fuck? She was like, yeah, she was telling me like her nigga put hands on her when she was at your house. And I was just like, at my house? Bitch, you wasn't at my house. So at this point I was just sitting there like, so mind y'all, this is before they have found out. This is before the whole New Year's Eve situation, right? This is way before the whole New Year's Eve when I got caught up situation. So when he's saying that, I'm just sitting here thinking like, how much do this nigga know? Wait, my house, friend, what? So he was like, yeah, something. He was like, so how you didn't know? So I'm like, cause she wasn't at my house. Like, you know, at this point, I'm just like, what the fuck? So I'm like, I'm about to call her, cause I just don't know what the fuck she told him and all this other shit. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna just call this bitch myself. So I call her house phone or whatever. Her mom answered, and I'm like, hey, like, can I speak to, I was gonna say her name. I'm like, can I speak to Toxic? And her mom was just like, don't ever call my phone no more, da-da-da-da-da, like, cussing me out, saying, you fake, you ain't shit, you and your best friend jumped my daughter. What? It made her catch the train home. I was like, hold up. And she was like, your mom is messed up for being there and not saying anything and watching. She told me how your mom was watching and cheering y'all on. Girl, y'all. I was like, what the fuck? So I hit her up on AIM and I said, girl, what the fuck? I just called your house and your mom told me a whole bunch of shit. Like, even her auntie got on the phone and was like cussing. They was cussing me out, and I'm just like, I'm confused as fuck. Like, so I ended up telling her what happened, and then long story short, because this ain't that story, but I'll tell y'all if y'all want it. So she ended up saying something. We ended up low-key getting into it, and we like fell out. We fell out for a cool minute because I was just like, that's weird. Like, you couldn't lie and say that you got randomly into a fight somewhere else. Like, you couldn't say that we both got into a fight with some bitches. Like, what? And my mama was watching and cheering me on. Like, what? So I was just so confused, like, what the fuck? That shit is weird. So that was strike number, what number am I on with her? Strike number 3. That was strike number 3, right? Okay, boom. And I didn't pay no mind. Strike number 3. So coming to number 4, it was just like a little mini situation. This probably happened like a few weeks after number 3 happened. So it was one day, it was a Friday, and I didn't even go to school that day. And my mom was like, I could go to LA. Like, she was going early. If I wanted to get dropped off, I could go for the weekend. So I'm like, cool. So at this time, my best friend and Joe and Toxic, they all went to the same school. So she had hit me up. I told my best friend, like, oh, I'm gonna be at my grandma's house. So she like, oh, after school I'm gonna come to your house. And Joe was like, oh, I'm gonna come too. So they was walking like towards my house together. Like, they was walking home together to come to my house or whatever, right? So y'all, when they walking, it's like a lot of people walking. So, you know, my best friend, she walking with like her friends, Joe walking with like his friends, until it gets to that point to where everybody split off and it's just them coming to my house. So they said they was walking, right? So they end up running into who? Toxic and her cousin. Mind y'all, remember when I said Toxic cousin never talked to Joe? Never. And my best friend, she wouldn't have lied to me. So she telling me like, yeah, like she was with her friends and shit. So she didn't like Toxic because me and Toxic had fell out, like, about the whole situation, which y'all will see more when I tell y'all. So she didn't like Toxic or whatever, right? So she was still talking to her friends or whatever. She was like, but Toxic was so fucking loud. She was like, but where she was standing at, she was like, Toxic didn't see her or whatever. But she was like, Toxic was so loud. She went over there to Joe, gave him a hug, like, hey, like, what's up? Like, you know, doing the most. And her cousin doing the most, like, what's up? Where your bitch at? Where that bitch at? Oh, don't let us catch her. And I'm just like, you know, my best friend was telling me this. So my best friend was like, so she ended up going over there. Like, before she went over there, she was like that, Toxic was saying little shit like, oh, that bitch don't want me to hurt her feelings because I got respect for you. I ain't even gonna say shit, but she don't want me to hurt her feelings. But she was like, Joe was laughing and kikiing with her, like, you know. So mind y'all, like I said, whenever they was around each other with me, they hated each other. They always get into it. He be talking so mean to her. So my best friend went over there and she was like, she got into it with Toxic. Like, it was a big thing. Like, they ended up fighting and all that. Like, it was a big thing because she was mad as fuck. Like, what the fuck? And Joe sitting there like, oh, so when they came to my house and told me the whole situation, Joe's like, no, she wasn't saying that like that. Like, I don't know, you know, that bitch be getting drunk all day, every day. What? Why is you lying? So I really kept asking, like, what does she mean she don't want you to tell me what? Like, she don't want me to tell, like, what is it that she got respect for you so she ain't gonna tell me? Like, is you fucking with some bitch or whatever? Come to my surprise, it was her. But anyway, that was like strike number 4. My best friend told me that because she was telling me like, I don't know, you should like watch out for Joe because he was really kikiing with her. But now that we over here telling you about what happened, this nigga like is not, he's making it seem like, oh, he was talking to her like, oh, y'all don't talk about my bitch like that. My, like, you know, just the most or whatever, right? The most. So I'm just like, yeah, you know what, this sounds so fucking weird or whatever. Boom. So that was strike number 4, right? So let's go into later in life. So this is when I found out. I know I'm probably like, damn, y'all probably like, bitch, shut up, just tell us. I am, okay, I'm here. So later in life, at this time, me and Toxic don't talk at all. We not friends. Because after that whole situation, when we fell out, we ended up getting back cool again. As y'all could see, the whole club situation, that was another strike. If you ain't seen that video, that's part 1 of this one. Make sure you go watch it. So that was another strike. That's we was friends again when we was older, right? We adults, but we ended up falling out. And I'll tell y'all the story later about why we fell out and all that other shit. It was really some petty ass little shit, whatever. Anyway, so boom, later in life, me and her not friends. We not cool. We ain't talk. I ain't talked to her. Probably been like a year. I don't fucking know. We ain't talk. I'm not thinking about this bitch. She probably not thinking about me. I don't fucking know. Don't care. So my sister had came out here. Her and her homegirl had came out here. And this is a story time, y'all. This one is funny, but I ain't gonna tell the whole story. But right now, I'll tell it later. So remember the story time when me and Enemy got chased off the hood and I said that it was a boy in a club that pulled my sister by her hair? This was that night. When I said it's a small ass world, this was that night. So we went to Thirsty Thursdays or whatever, y'all. Thirsty Thursdays. And I knew that Joe was gonna be there, but mind y'all, me and him was like broken up at this time because Joe really had me fucked up. Like, he really was like talking to somebody else, but he would throw the bitch up in my face all the time. So we wasn't together because it's like, bitch, you got me fucked up. Like, he would try to be cool. Like, it was a weird situation. Like, I'll get into details about that later. Maybe not, I don't know. So anyway, I knew he was gonna be at Thirsty Thursdays. I knew I was looking cute. I was with my girls. I'm with people he never seen me with before. So I'm like, oh, I want to go. Like, I want to go. I want to make his hair hurt, whatever. So I was with my sister and her friend. They had came out here from the Bay, whatever. And my other sister that I live with. So he knew her. Like, he knew Tatiana. Not my friend Tatiana, because I have a sister and a friend named Tatiana. So yeah. So we all went to Thirsty Thursdays or whatever. We cool, we having a good time. Mind y'all, at Thirsty Thursday, this is Joe the whole time with his drink, staring at me from across the room. To where my sister, because when we seen him, my sister, she remembered him because she had seen him once, like, and I used to post him like on Facebook and stuff. So my sister came out here, Ebony, she like, oh, ain't that your boyfriend? I'm like, girl, we broke up. So she was just like, why he looking at you like he want to cut your head off in here? And I'm just like, he probably do, I don't know. So y'all, so it was crazy. Like, he was really fucking pissed. Like, he was staring at me, and mind y'all, we up in there, we dancing, we having a good time. We life of the fucking party. Not life of the party, but you know, we having a good fucking time. And he was the whole night. The moment he seen me walking in there, when we walked in there, I peeped him from the scene. He dancing with girls, he turned up, he lit, he having a fun time with his homeboys. The moment he seen I was there, he stood against the wall the whole night and stared me down. Mind y'all, I could be dancing, having fun, dancing on somebody, like, hey, I'm dancing on somebody, I look up, staring me down. And it'd be like, well, he didn't speak to me, I didn't speak to him. It really was that situation. So fast forward, after that, I mean, that same night, we ended up going to the casino, and he hit me up, and he was all like, I need to talk to you. So he ended up hitting me up, and he was like, I need to talk to you. Like, I need to talk to you right now. So I'm like, what's up? Like, you know, we aiming or whatever. I'm like, what's up? He was like, no, I need to talk to you, like, I mean, we was not aiming. I'm sorry. At this point, we was texting. Well, I said aiming. So at this, he was like, I need to talk to you. Like, he texted me. I'm like, what's up? Like, what's up? So we at the casino. I'm like, if you want, I could, like, go off to the side and call you. He like, no, I need to talk to you in person. Like, it's serious. Like, this shit is serious as fuck. But mind y'all, At this time, me and him was not together. He was talking to some girl. One minute he'd say she his girlfriend, the next he wouldn't. Like, one minute when we cool, he'd try to say like, oh, that's just somebody I talk to. But when he want to hurt my feelings, it's like he got a thrill out of that. I don't know why. It seems like I come across niggas that get a thrill out of making me feel bad or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just how niggas is. I don't fucking know. I'm just kidding. Not all the guys I ever came across. But anyway, so it seemed like he get a thrill out of it. Like, we could be talking, he'll lead me on to where I'm thinking we getting back together, and I'd be like, oh my god, I love you, and he'd be like, I love her, and I'd be like, bitch, what? Tears. Anyway, so I was just like, what do we need to talk about? And he was like, I need to talk to you in person. Mind y'all, it's like 2 in the morning. It's like 2, 3 in the morning. It's late. So he's like, I need to talk to you in person. He was like, so when y'all leave there, drop them off and come meet me in this alley. Y'all, so I'm just like, okay, y'all. I'm telling my sister said, bitch, you're not going. I'm like, why? He just want to talk. She said, the way he was staring at you all night, you're not going. So I'm like, girl, he just want to talk to me. Like, it's not that deep. You know, she was just like, bitch, no. So I was just like, you know what, you're right. That's good. I was with her and not with other friends, because they probably would tell me like, girl, yeah, go have that conversation. And yeah, so I was just like, you know what, so I ended up hitting him up like, I'm tired, I don't feel like driving like that, so I'm not even gonna have it. I'm like, I'm tired, I don't feel like driving like that, so I'm not even gonna come. Like, we could link tomorrow. He was like, I need to talk to you now. So I'm like, if you want, you could come by the house. Like, you know, I could come outside and talk to you. And he was just like, nah, I want you to meet me here. So at that point, it was getting weird, because what the fuck? So I didn't end up going, right? So like days later passed. He didn't ever hit me up, because I hit him up that next day. Like, so did you still want to talk? He never replied to me. So a few days later go by, and he hit me up and was like, oh, I just had to cool down. I had a lot going on, but whatever. Like, yeah, I still want to talk to you. So mind y'all, it's the daytime, and it's a few days later, right? So here we get to juicy part. Boom. Finally. So I ended up meeting up with him or whatever, right? And right when he came out to my car, he came outside with a backpack. At this point, mind y'all, he has his own car. He didn't ask me to take him nowhere. Why do you have a backpack? I met up with him at his house, right? So we in his building, because he lived in like a big ass building. It was like a big apartment complex, like, so it had like visitor parking. So we in his building or whatever, I'm parked or whatever, and he come outside with his backpack. So I'm just like, I ain't leave nothing over here, what you finna show me? So he ended up coming with the backpack. Right when he get in the passenger side, he just stared at me. He stared at me like how he was staring at me in the club. So at this point, I'm gonna get up against the door like, looking at him, he looking at me. So I'm like, what's up? For some reason, when shit be awkward and shit, even if I know it's a bad time, for some reason I start smiling. I have no idea. I really can't control it. It's sad. Like, I laugh at the wrong times. It's just crazy. But anyway, so he said that. So he's sitting there, he looking at me, then he starts smiling too, because I'm smiling. So I'm thinking, yay, this is fun. We're having fun, you know, red flags, like Six Flags. So I'm just like, okay, so what's up? Like, what do you want to talk about? So he just starts telling me a whole bunch of stuff. And he's like, you know what, that's good you didn't come meet me that night, because I was really mad. I had to really just figure out a lot of stuff and realize that you for the streets. Like, he really used to get at me crazy, y'all. He used to get at me crazy when he was the one that was dogging me out. He used to really say, I'm from the streets. How? I'm not from the streets. I mean, for the streets. Maybe I was from the streets as well to him. And I used to be so confused. Like, you the one that's doing me wrong. How am I the big hoe? The fuck? I mean, yeah, I had 2 boyfriends in high school, but none of y'all was getting that. Like, so it really didn't even count. Like, I'm just kidding. That's why he wasn't saying that. But remember, I told y'all I was talking to 7 at this time, and me and him was not together. Like, but he used to play mind games with me too. Because not 7, he was really upfront about a lot of stuff. Too upfront. I was just blind. I really didn't care. Obviously, anyway, so Joe used to play mind games with me. Like I said, one minute he'll be cool, he'll come over, he'll be like, get dressed, I'm taking you out, and we'll go out, or we'll go on dates, and he'll do shit like that. And I'm thinking like, oh my god, we're working towards getting back together. The next thing you know, he'll be like, I can't hurt her. Well, then what are we doing right here? Like, it'll be times where he'll be like, I don't feel like going home, and he'll just pull up. And my grandma knew him, so she'll let him in, and he'll just be like, oh, hey, like, I don't feel like going home, and just come over there and just want to cuddle all night. Like, it'll be little shit like that. Like, that man used to play mind games with me, so that's why I end up just talking to somebody else. So I'm like, I could stop giving into this shit, because I was so emotional. I used to just cry. Like, I used to feel so bad, and he really used to just hurt my fucking feelings. Like, and he'd be like, well, she this, she's pure, she's this, she's that. And I used to be like, she's all of this and that, then why the fuck we here all together all the time? Like, maybe she want to go to that steakhouse, you know, so she's so cool. Clearly she ain't cool like me. But anyway, so we sitting there, was talking or whatever. He's like, yeah, I just gotta realize you're not the same Symone that I knew. Like, you grew up, you're different now, you're for the streets. He didn't say for the streets, but, you know, basically saying, like, I'm a rat or something. I don't know. He used to say some dumb shit. Anyway, so he was saying all that shit or whatever just to basically say, like, I want to tell you something. So I'm like, what? He was like, something I really want to tell you. I've been wanting to tell you for the longest. He was like, but I just didn't want to hurt you. Like, I just couldn't. He was like, but now just me realizing that we would never get back together because you done talked to so many niggas when we broke up, and you this, you that, you that, you this. I just can't see myself being with you no more. Anyway, so, but used to cheat with the whatever. Like, yeah, so I just feel like this is the best time to tell you, like, I gotta get off my chest. So I'm like, what? So mind y'all too, let me just go back a bit. So mind y'all, at this time, remember I said me and Toxic wasn't talking, and he was the type, I felt like, okay, if we dating and if I say fuck her, it's fuck her. We supposed to both say fuck that bitch. Like, no, he felt like it was, oh, that's on you. Bitch, please. And mind y'all, I had forgot to mention this too. When they used to have when me and him started talking, I told him too. I said, that whole daddy-daughter shit, that's out. Like, y'all not doing that shit, that's out. Like, y'all know. So I just want to put that in there for y'all be in the comments and be like, bitch, you was letting that bitch call your nigga daddy? No, that was out. So Anyway, so she had a job or whatever, and he used to always tell me every time he see her, like, oh, guess what I seen today? Guess what I seen today? I seen Toxic at her job. I seen Toxic at her job. Where she worked at, it was no reason why you was eating that fucking often. Like, come on now, bro. So that was already annoying in itself. And it's like, you know, I don't fuck with this bitch. I don't give a fuck about this bitch. I don't ask about her. I don't care to ask about her. And it's been like a year since we ain't talked. Why do you keep telling me you ran into the bitch at her job? Like, bro, you going to her job, you know you gonna run into her. And mind y'all, the location she worked at was no reason why this nigga should be running into her. Because why are you going out of your way to go there? Anyway, just have to make that clear. So he's like, I want to tell you something, but I've been wanting to tell you for a long time. So I'm like, what? And he was like, me and Toxic fucked. And I was like, what? So when he said this, I'm thinking recently, because I remember he used to always tell me he ran into her. So I was like, what? Next thing you know, it was just tears, like, whoo, the ocean. Like, that shit was crazy. I'm just crying. I was so emotional back then. I'm still a little bit emotional, but it ain't as bad. So I'm just crying, like, crying. I'm like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out my car. Like, oh, hell no. He was like, no, let me tell you. Just listen. And I was like, what? He was like, it wasn't recent. So I'm like, so when was it? Like, what the fuck? So when did this happen? So he like, remember back in the day, like when you was dating Musclehead or whatever, he was just like that nigga from out there. He was like, and you and her fell off. And he was like, yeah, so we both was mad at you and it just happened. So when he said this, I was just crying, but I'm putting two and two together, and it didn't make four. It did not make four. Because I'm like, okay, hold on. When me and her fell out, about that situation, Joe had no idea about Musclehead at that time. So when he did find out, me and Toxic was friends, because Toxic was with me that night. If y'all listen to the story time, she was with me that night. So so how was y'all both mad at me? Because when he found out about Musclehead, Toxic and me was cool. So I'm just like saying, I'm like, that don't make sense. He gonna say, I always knew. Like, I always knew about the situation. Like, I always knew. I just never said anything. He was like, because she told me. So now I'm sitting here like, this bitch told you? So you knew and you just wasn't saying shit. He was like, yeah, because she told me. Like, I knew you wasn't doing well with him, so I wasn't really tripping. She told me it wasn't nothing like that, but I knew. Like, I just knew. I knew about it because she told me. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, no, this bitch didn't. No, this bitch didn't. So at this point, I'm getting mad. Like, yo, I'm rocking, I'm crying, I'm rocking and crying. So I was just like, what the fuck? So I was like, so how many times? And he was like, I promise you it was just 2 times. 2 times? When was the second time? So I'm just like, when was the second time? So he like, well, it wasn't really 2 times, but that was the time we did that. And he was all like, and then he gonna say, before me and you ever did anything. And then he gonna take it back and say, no, my bad. No, it was just 1 time. That other time really don't matter, because she really just gave me head. Y'all, when I tell y'all I was sick. So now I start thinking about this at that time. Was at her cousin's house, and she talking about something. You want me to just show you, Symone? But so that means you had already did it. So I was just like, Lord. Woo! will. So I'm just like, hold up. He was just like, yeah, before. He was like, well, let me just tell you. He was like, so I'm just like doing this let me just tell you thing. He was like, yeah, before we was talking, like, you know, when we was really talking, me and her, she wanted to talk to me. He was like, but I was fucking with some girl or some shit like that. He was like, so she ended up talking to my homeboy. She didn't work out with them, so she tried to talk to me again. He was like, and we didn't ever talk. We used to just do little things, y'all know, like little things. He was like, and that's about it. He's like, then I met you and all this other shit. So I'm over here like, what the fuck? Y'all, when I get mad, I be loud. So I just be loud sometimes, all the time anyway. I don't even know when I'm loud. But anyway, so I'm mad, I'm screaming, I'm crying. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, so why the fuck? Was it a joke? When you came up to me that day and you met me, you knew. So I'm like, was you doing that shit to make her mad? Like, did you talk to me? Did you get my aim to make her mad? And then it just so happened you liked me, like you ended up falling for me, but it wasn't meant to go that way, because I was so confused. And I'm just like, and for her to pump it up, was she saying it? Like, I started thinking like, was she doing that? Like, oh, you should talk to her, you get her aim. Was she doing that to be funny, thinking, oh, you not gonna do it? And then you end up like, what? I was so mad, because it's like, bro, if that happened, you could have shut that shit down real quick. That next day, that same night, we went back to the same house. You could have told me like, hey girl, me and him used to talk. Like, it was further than what it went. And yeah, I fucked with him and his homeboy, but hey, it is what it is. You could have told me that, and this shit would have never happened. Like, I would have never had all these stories. I would have never had none of this. I would have never went through so much traumatic shit if this bitch would have just said that. So I was so mad, like, yo, this bitch made my life miserable. Like, she not even knowing. It's little shit that you did just be as a friend, me just having you as a friend where you was just an ain't shit friend. I should have cut you off. But not even on top of that, you put me in a situation to where I was with this man and he put me through hell. And I was just like, and the whole time all you had to do was tell me that y'all talked. That's all you had to tell me, because I would have never talked to him. And I was just sitting there, I was so mad, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And he gonna say, yeah, he was like, it wasn't nothing serious, like, you know, before when she did that. He was like, because she had did it to the homie the same day. When she gave me head, she gave him head. And I'm just thinking like, bitch, whatever. Like, you're at this point, I felt like he was just saying anything to make the situation sound better, which it didn't. So I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? And he's like, she used to just hold it over my head. He was like, if you knew, he was like, and I promise you, he was like, I promise you, like, in the beginning, he was like, when we did something, like, it wasn't nothing like that. I really was hurt. I was mad. He was like, and I felt bad about it. Bitch, please. Bitch, please. He was like, and ever since then, he's like, ever since that time when I was mad at you and me and her did that one time, oh, it was two, then it was one. Nigga, which one is it? 2 and 1 night. Like, he was like, ever since that time, like, she tried to hold over my head. Like, he was like, she tried to really wanted to be with me, and she was mad that I was with you and I was this and I was that. He was like, so she used to hold it over my head. He was like, all the time, and be like, oh, I'm gonna say something, or oh, this or that. He was like, so that's why. He was like, that's why I didn't really like her like that. He was like, you know, I didn't really fuck with her, like, you know, because I didn't want to hurt you. He was like, but recently, when I did run into her at her job, like, the same seemed like every day. But he was like, she was trying. He was like, and now we're older. And he was like, this before, mind you, he said this happened before the club situation. He was like, that she tried, and he was just told her, like, back then he was young and dumb, but now he's grown and he's smarter and he would never hurt me like that. But now, so I'm just like, so where are you getting at with this? Are you saying now that you figured out that I'm for the streets that you saying you're gonna go do it? Like, I was so confused. He's like, but I would never fuck with that bitch. Like, that bitch is blah, blah, blah. She worse than you. Nigga, why are you just putting me? Like, he really was putting, like, so much on it. Like, oh, I talked to one guy and now I'm just a big hoe in LA, I guess, whatever. So I was just like, what the fuck? I was so hurt, y'all. I was hurt. But it just made me mad that it took him being mad at me to tell me that shit, because y'all could have just told me this a long time ago. Like, and I could have cut both of them off a long time ago. And I was just like, yo, I was so mad to where I wanted to fight this bitch so bad. Like, mind y'all, I hadn't even talked to her in like a year. So I had hit my best friend up and I just told her everything. At this time, I never used to tell nobody nothing. And At this time, my bad. At this time, I never used to tell nobody nothing, but I ended up telling my best friend, like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I told her everything. I was just so hurt, because after that, I was just like, hey, I'm gonna go. So I called her. I told her everything. She was just like, bitch, what the fuck? So I'm like, I know where that bitch would work at. Mind y'all, I knew where she lived at too, but me and her ain't talked in a year, so I don't even know if she still live there. Like, sometimes she'll be back and forth living with, like, her auntie and shit like that. So I wasn't finna pop up at her house, but I'm like, hey, I want to pop up at her job and let her know, look, I ain't gonna get you fired, nothing like that. Baby girl, give me a number 5 and make sure you strap them shoes up when you get off, because we fighting in the parking lot. That's what I really wanted to fucking do. But I was just, my best friend was telling me, like, girl, she's not worth it. She's not worth it. That should just really give you motivation to just say fuck them, like, you know, and cut and let go and go on with your life. She was just such a motivational speaker, that girl. But I was just like, yo, I'm mad. Like, I really want to go. Like, I really want to fight this girl. Like, I was so mad, because it's not even the fact, mind y'all, if it was a random ass female that probably had me on Facebook, me and her never spoke. She knew this was my nigga, but me and her never spoke, nothing. She's not my friend. We nothing. I wouldn't be that. I would be mad, but I wouldn't be that mad. It's the fact that she was my friend. You was my friend for years. You sat there. You knew everything that this person put me through. You really sat there, and the whole time, the whole time, the whole time, the whole time, it's like you was acting crazy over the D because you knew what it was like. So you understood where I was coming from. You understood, like, girl, why you ain't left yet? Because you knew. Y'all, so anyway, I was just so hurt, because it was just like, you know what? Like, that was my friend. Like, you were my friend. At the end of the day, if you would have told me whatever, I would have cut him off in the beginning, never talked to him, and it would have been that. But you was my friend. Like, I loved that girl. I loved him too, but her, a friendship, I feel like relationship pains, it'd be like, whatever. Like, it hurts, you know, it hurts, whatever, you go, you move on. But that friendship breakup, that shit just stick with you, seem like way longer than a relationship breakup. That shit hurts, because it's like, bro, I loved you. You was my dog, and you would do me like that. Like, that was fucked up. Yeah, maybe in the beginning you didn't want to say nothing, or you thought it was wrong, but you should have said, I don't fucking know. I really don't know. You should have said something, because I would have said something. Like, this is different from the last story time I just put out. This is way different. Like, when she was mad, I didn't tell her that me and him used to, like, flirt. But this is so different. Like, you actually did something with him. Like, I would never want to do nothing with somebody that you did something with. Y'all, my best friend was already mad, because she didn't like toxic like that. No way. She never really liked her. So she was like, I knew it was something up with her. She was like, remember? So my best friend telling me, I remember that time when she was out there and she didn't tell you? She probably fucked your other nigga. And I'm just like, bitch, you need to stop laughing too hard, because you gonna make me pull it to her job. It was just crazy, y'all. But that's how I found out. He told me, and it was just like, y'all, that's why people be like, oh, would you ever be friends with her again? No, because I can't trust you. Like, I can't trust you. You broke my heart. You broke my friendship heart, because it was like, how could you do me like that? Like, we even though I had a best friend, me and her was closer than me and my best friend. Like, we was closer, and it's like, how would you do me like that? No matter how many times we fell out and I came back cool with you, how much shit you put me through, how much drama I got in because it's sticking up for you, and you still the whole time was doing me wrong. Like, the whole time you was doing me so fucking dirty, girl. Whew, now I could sit here and smile about it, because I really could care less. And, you know, if they do decide to fuck with each other in life now, it ain't gonna be no better than what the fuck we went through, and it'd probably be even worse, and I could really care less. You know, that's on y'all. Shit, whatever. You know, but back then that shit really hurt me. Now, do it affect me? No, I really don't care about it. It just be like, whatever. I feel like everything happened in life for experiences, and you know what, when I was sitting back and thinking about it, like, damn, I could have avoided so much shit I went through in life. But a lot of shit make you stronger, you know. I really feel like a lot of that shit I needed to go through, because I went through it so early on that at this age, no, at this big age, I would never. And I'm just happy that, you know, things didn't end too bad for me, but I lived and I learned a lot of shit. Like, I learned a lot of shit early on, and I'm just happy, you know, that I did. So I really feel like everything happened for a reason, and I really feel like some people, it's just a part of your life, and sometimes when that chapter ends, there's no point of going back and rereading it. Like, so that's why I would never be cool with her again. No, it's no point of going back. Even if she would have been like, oh, I'm grown now, I'm older, I would never do no shit, I was this kid, I was this. I don't care. Like, some people are really seasons, and that season ended and it never came back around. It was just never. It was never meant to come back around. Like, when that chapter closed the first time, I kept going back and rereading it. I kept letting that girl back in my life. Even with him too, even with a lot of people, like a lot of friendships too. Like, when I get on the girl Rat from Summer Love Affair, y'all gonna be like, girl, you gave her too many chances. And I did that before, but sometimes you need to do that. I don't suggest y'all do that, cut people off, but I feel like I needed to do that because it taught me a lot. But look how everything worked out. It's like, now I'm able to come here and tell my stories, and I'm helping a lot of people. A lot of people be telling me like I be helping them and shit, and I really be like, oh my god. But yeah, I suggest if you going through it, don't keep reopening them wounds. Let that person go. Once somebody show you they ain't for you or all that other shit, let them go. Let them go. I really wish I'd let these people go a long time ago, but hey, again, everything happened for a reason. So yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Those mini story times, they long story times, and I will get into them. Like, let me know, because I'll most definitely tell y'all the long versions of them. But yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in.